chat today. I found some questions to answer to keep the conversation moving along. This canvas that I'm working on is from Kotart, Kotart. I got it on Amazon. It's really great. It's a really great canvas. I really like it. I'm enjoying this. Okay, first question is, what part of pop culture do you wish would just go away? Well, I don't know if this is part of pop culture or not, but the baggy pants thing, I still see guys with baggy pants. I wish that would just go away. It's ridiculous, I think, anyway. Especially, I mean, it was bad enough on teenagers, but then I see older men that are still wearing their pants down around their knees. And I don't know. I just don't care for that. It's just my opinion. Let's see. What is your favorite salty snack? First thing that popped into my head was potato chips. I do like potato chips in ranch dip. Homemade ranch dip. Yep. Sometimes I make French onion dip just to mix it up a little bit, but my favorite is ranch dip. Let's see, what song do you love to dance to? Music for me is one of those mood things. My taste in music changes with my mood. So it's hard to say what song would make me want to get up and dance. It would just depend on the mood that I'm in, I guess. What was your most embarrassing hairstyle? Well, let's see. Late 70s through the 80s. I guess I would have to say the perm. I used to get perms, and some of them were pretty bad. I didn't know how to style my hair, so I would just wash it and kind of like fluff up the curls a little bit, and off I would go without styling it in any kind of way. I look back at pictures now and think, geez, you could have maybe took a curling iron to it or something, you know. Made it look a little nicer instead of being so lazy. Let's see, if you could have a drink with someone from history, who would it be? Well, my birthday is February 12th, and that's the same as Abraham Lincoln's birthday, so I'm gonna say Abraham Lincoln. I think he would be a very interesting man to talk to. What is the furthest west you've ever traveled? I'm gonna say Colorado, I guess. I've gone from Illinois to Colorado and everything in between, but I think Colorado is the furthest west I've ever been. Let's see. What vegetable do you hate? Gosh. Well, I love vegetables, so I'm trying to think. When I was a kid, I used to hate Brussels sprouts. But I kind of like Brussels sprouts now if they're prepared in the right way. Like steamed with lots of butter and then salt and pepper. Or I've had them where they bake them in the oven with garlic and Parmesan. That's really good. Let's see. Have you ever been mentioned in the newspaper? I have, actually. I had an article written about me back in the early 2000s, late 1990s, when the beading craze was big. I had a store where I sold beads and I taught beading classes. And the local newspaper used to do articles on small businesses to get our names out there in the community and help us get business. And they came and did a little article on me. Had my picture in the paper. So that was pretty cool. And it did help my business. It got pretty busy after that, so that was pretty nice. Let's see. If you could live in any other country for 2 years, where would you go? Scotland or Ireland. Yeah, Scotland or Ireland it would be. I love both of those cultures a lot. I love to listen to people from their talk. I love the accents. Well, I love accents in general. I love to listen to people with different accents talk. I find it very interesting. If you could see 24 hours into the future, what would you do with this ability? 24 hours isn't very much. I don't know. 24 hours. I don't know. Just 24 hours into the future. Lottery numbers, I guess. I don't know. 24 hours isn't very far ahead. So maybe get the lottery numbers or something. What's the worst physical pain you've ever been in? Well, most women would probably say childbirth, but I have arthritis really bad. It's put me in a wheelchair, and some days it is really, really bad. I also have fibromyalgia, so the two of those combined together, especially when the fibromyalgia flares up. And I'm having a bad arthritis day. The pain is just pretty bad. Pretty bad. What are you afraid of? Well, something happening to my children or my grandchildren. I have anxiety, and I used to, when my son first moved out of the house, I used to worry about, if he was okay and what was he doing, and was he taking care of himself, and every time the phone rang, at night I'd think, oh my gosh, something happened, but nothing ever happened. Everything was fine. And now that he's got kids, I worry about them. So I'm just a worry wart. Oh. Do you have faith in the next generation, and why? Oh boy. I'm guessing the next generation would be my grandkids. Yeah, I think so. They're learning a lot in school. Well, the school that they go to, it's one of those intense schools where they're teaching them, fractions in first grade and stuff like that, and my smallest granddaughter, she's in kindergarten, and she was telling me all about the heart and how blood flows and stuff like that the other day. So I think I'm hoping this next generation is going to be pretty smart. And they'll be able to maybe fix some of the things that have been messed up from past generations. That would be nice. What makes you laugh? My dogs and my grandkids. I have 6 dogs, 4 chihuahuas, 1 schnauzer mix, and a Great Dane. And yeah, a Great Dane with 4 schnauzers. That can be pretty funny sometimes. They get after him sometimes, and he just jumps up on the couch and looks down on them, and they're all standing on the floor barking up at him, and he's looking at me like, help, the little rats are after me again. Sometimes I feel so sorry for him. They really get after him sometimes. What exotic pet would you like to have? I would love to have a small monkey. One of those little little ones that don't get very big. I like to watch YouTube videos of people who have little monkeys as pets. I just think they're so adorable. Let's see here. What are your marketable skills? Well, I went to college to be an administrative assistant. So I guess my marketable skills are organization. I like to be organized. I used to be a people person. I was very good at customer service until the depression and anxiety got a lot worse, and I just couldn't handle being around people anymore. I couldn't deal with all the stress and commotion at work, and it just got really, really bad. But I used to be a people person. Now I'm more like a hermit. I'd rather stay at home. And I do mostly stay at home unless I have a doctor's appointment or I'm desperate for a diamond painting, and I go to Hobby Lobby or Joann's to pick up a diamond painting, because the ones I ordered haven't come in yet. Let's see. Who taught you to cook? My father. My father was a cook in the Army for 25 years. And he taught me to cook. He only cooked once a week on Sundays. And we would do something different every Sunday. Like one Sunday we would have Italian food, and he'd make a big Italian dinner, and then one Sunday we'd have Mexican food, and we'd make a big Mexican dinner, and then one Sunday we'd have Chinese food and make a big Chinese dinner. And so I learned to cook a lot of different things from my father. I learned how to cook a lot of large meals from my father. That took me a really long time. A very long time to learn how to cook normal. When I first got married, I used to cook these huge meals for my husband. It was just him and I, and poor thing felt like he had to eat it all, because he didn't want to hurt my feelings. And but then I was always throwing away all these leftovers and stuff. So I finally had to learn how to cook in smaller batches, smaller quantities. And then we had kids, and I had to cook larger quantities again. And then the kids moved out. I had to learn to cook small again. Now I've got 3 grandkids. Had to learn to cook larger quantities again. So it's just kind of been back and forth, back and forth. I don't cook as much as I used to. It's hard for me to be in the kitchen. My kitchen is kind of small, so it's hard for me to get around in there in my chair, so get a sip of coffee here. Okay, let's see. What single piece of technology makes your life easier? My phone. I am a bit of a tech nerd. I love technology. And I love my phone. When I think of something, I grab my phone and Google it. When I think of something that I need or want, I grab my phone and I get on Amazon and I get it. And yeah, my phone. I would be pretty lost without my phone. Let's see here. How do you like to spend your spare time? I like to diamond paint, obviously. Diamond paint, or again, be on my phone. I like to play games on my phone too, so either diamond painting or playing games on my phone or looking at diamond paintings on AliExpress or Amazon or doing searches on Google for diamond paintings, trying to find new places to get diamond paintings. Let's see. Where were you in life 5 years ago? Oof. I was in a bad place 5 years ago. 5 years ago, was I still working 5 years ago? Let's see. I can't remember if I was still working 5 years ago or not, but yeah. I've been in and out of the hospital quite often because of my depression and anxiety. And I spent 1 year, there was 1 year where I was in and out of the hospital about 6 times because of my depression and anxiety. And that was not a good time for me or my family. I finally have gotten my medication situated, and I have gone to a therapist, and I go see a therapist when I feel like I need to. I don't see one. I used to see one like weekly. I saw a therapist weekly for like 2 or 3 years, and then I just felt like I didn't need to see her that often anymore. So I started going less and less, and now I just go whenever I feel like I need to talk to her. There's all kinds of hair in my wax. What the heck? The heck happened to my wax? Speaking of wax, what kind of wax do you like to use? I'm using the pink wax right now, which works okay for a while. I've tried the blue tack, but I didn't really care too much for that. I do have some sticky wax coming in the mail, I think today, from Amazon, that I'm hoping will work pretty well. I know people have been having some good success with the patty wax from Amazon, or not Amazon, from Etsy. I've heard a lot of people talking about that, but I haven't tried that one yet. I had another H here somewhere, and I don't see it. Okay, let's see. And then I had a bunch of sixes. Sixes are number 2. Yeah, so put down in the comments what kind of wax you use and why you like it. Let's see here. What was the last thing you lost and later found? I bought a pack of cell phone charger cords because I got a new iPhone, and the cord that came with it was really, really short. So I ordered some long ones. It was a pack of 5, I think, 5, 6-foot cords or something. And I used one out of there and then put the pack somewhere and could not find it for the life of me. I looked, my daughter looked, we could not find it anywhere. So naturally, I went online and ordered another pack. And the same day that pack was delivered, we found the other pack. So now I have like 8 iPhone cell phone charger cords. And nobody in my family uses Apple products but me, so I can't give them away. Yeah, I crossed over to the dark side. I'm an Apple user now. I have an Apple iPad and an Apple Watch and an Apple phone. Yeah, everybody else are Android users, and I just... Well, the first thing I got was my tablet, my iPad, and I've had that for, gosh, 3 years or so now, and I've really liked it, really enjoyed it a lot. And then I just recently got my phone, my Apple iPhone. I've had it about a month and have been really enjoying it. So then I decided I wanted the watch, and I'm really liking the Apple Watch. It's a lot of fun. If you're a techie, the Apple Watch is a lot of fun, and it's quite useful. It's quite useful, and something that I didn't realize it had until after I got it. I was watching videos on YouTube about all the things that you could do with it. It has a fall risk setting on it that you can turn on, and if you fall, it'll sound like an alarm, and if you don't turn the alarm off within a certain amount of time, it will dial 911. It will send a message to your emergency contact, and then it'll dial 911 for you, which I thought was pretty cool, especially for me since I'm in a wheelchair. So I thought that was a pretty cool feature to have. A bunch of D's that I missed here. Let's see. But I like being able to just call up Siri and say, hey, set an alarm for 15 minutes, or text my husband and, find out how long, text my husband, how long will you be, what time will you get off work or something, just stuff like that, just easy, quick things like that when I don't have my phone handy or something. It's nice. I can answer my phone and talk through my watch. So if my phone, isn't quite handy, or I don't want to try to hold my phone between my shoulder and my ear, I could just talk through my watch, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I know people get a lot of, you either love Apple or you hate them. I'm kind of I'm in between right now, I guess you could say. I'm really enjoying my Apple products. There's not as many apps as there are on Android, and the apps that Apple does have are really expensive. If I find an app that I really like, I don't mind paying, $4.99 for the app, or even, I've paid, $9.99 for the whole year to use the app or something. If it's something that I like and that I'm using a lot, I'll pay for it to unlock all the features and not have to mess with the ads and stuff. And with the Apple products, they want to charge you like $9.99 a month. They charge you $9.99 a month, and some of them are so completely outrageous. They're like $40 a year. I even saw one that was $80 for the year. I thought to myself, wow, I could probably learn to write an app and make an app before I'd pay $80 just to use, and that's just for the year. that's not like a lifetime thing. I mean, I might consider paying that if it was for lifetime use, if it was something that I, was really getting a lot of benefit from. But just for just for 1 year, that's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah, Apple, that people that put their apps on Apple, I don't know, they're trying to get rich or something. I'm not sure what they're doing. Let's see if I can get these back in here without spilling them all over. I spilled a bunch yesterday. Oof. I hope I don't need a lot of those. I'll have to sweep the floor and see if I can find some. Let's see, I need number 22. Let's see, 22 is let's see here. Let's go back to the questions. What is the saddest movie? Gosh, it was years ago. My kids were just like maybe, I don't know, 4, 5 years old, something like that. And I'm trying to think of the name. It had Richard Gere and Jodie Foster in it. And it was set back in the old times. And it like Civil War type era. And he was a soldier who came back after the war, and everybody, nobody was like happy to see him. His wife didn't want him back, his kids weren't happy to see him, the town wasn't happy to see him. Well, people started noticing that he was different. He was kinder, he was more helpful, he was nicer, and just as like he started falling in love with Jodie Foster and she started falling in love with him, this other soldier shows up and accuses him of being an imposter. So what happened is I guess he looked like a lot like her husband, and her husband died in the war, so he took the husband's place. Well, they went to court as him, being an imposter, and he was found guilty. And you kept thinking, all the whole town, everybody, because he had helped so many people, everybody, spoke in his defense, and, that he was such a great guy, and that they needed to let him go, and Jodie Foster, wanted to marry him and stay with him and everything, and her kids, wanted him as their dad, and the townspeople wanted him, and at the very end they hung him, and I was like, what? No, you can't do that. It's a love story, you can't do that. No. I was so shocked that they actually, I kept thinking, at the very last minute, they're going to save him. At the very last minute, they're going to save him. Nope, they hung him. I was so shocked. I sat there, while the credits were rolling, and I was just like, I was in shock. And then I got so mad that I had sat through that whole movie for such a terrible ending. And I still remember that movie after all these years. I still remember that. How angry I got with that movie for doing that. Yeah. I want to say it was called Mr. Somerville or something. Or some name like that, I think. Mr. Somerset, Somerville, something. The Return of Mr. Somerville. Something like that, I think it was. Yeah, so I was pretty upset with that movie. I think they should redo it and make it a happy ending, give it a happy ending. Let's see. Where is the highest you have ever been and not in an airplane? Well, I live in Colorado and we have 14,000 high peaks here. I think I've made it about 3/4 of the way up to one of the peaks, and I couldn't breathe. The air was so thin. I couldn't breathe up there, and we had to turn around and come back. Plus, it was June, and there was snow. The closer you got to the peak, there was snow in June up on the peak. So and it got colder and colder and colder, and of course we weren't prepared because it was June. On the ground it was June. So we weren't prepared for the cold up there. So yeah, that's probably the highest I've ever been. In that regard, anyway. Let's see. Why were you given your name? Well, my name is Vicky, Vikki. And my father named me. And I was born in the 60s, and he was a big fan of the singer Vicky Carr. So that was how I got my name. And from what I remember, my mother didn't like it. And she never called me by my name. She always had a nickname for me. She never called me by my name because she didn't like it. But she had agreed to let my father name me. If it was a girl, he got to name me. If it was a boy, she got to name it. So that's how that happened. Let's see here. What makes a house a home? Comfortable. Being comfortable, being welcomed. being comfortable, feeling safe, having things around you that matter, that are important to you. Whether it be family or pets, or even just, if you collect something, if you're a collector of something. I've got these on here too tight, so they're kind of popping up a little bit. Let's see, what else? What makes a house a home? That's about it, I guess. Being able to be yourself, be free, if you want to run around in your underwear, run around in your underwear. It's your house. Be able to do what you want in your house. What is the longest you have been without sleeping? 3 days. I went 3 days without sleeping. I had been put on some medication and I couldn't sleep. Could not sleep. And oh my God, I was so tired. But every time I'd go lay down, I could not sleep. And I started feeling sick. I was hallucinating. It was bad. It was really bad. And finally I just crashed. I think my body just was like, nope, that's enough. That's enough of that. And I just crashed. And I slept for like 24 hours. And then I was fine. But yeah, that was pretty bad. Pretty bad. I had never hallucinated before, so that was really weird. What was your first paying job? My first paying job was in high school. There was a little restaurant in town, and I was a prep cook. Actually, they had a little small a salad bar, and my job was to cut up all the vegetables, the lettuce and everything, and get all that stuff ready for the salad bar. So that was my first little job. I remember getting my first little paycheck. I think it was, oh gosh, if I remember correctly, I think it was $98 or something for 2 weeks worth of work. And I was just thought I was just so rich. Oh, I was so happy with my little job. $98, yeah. I don't even remember what I spent it on now. Probably shoes. I was really big into shoes back then. Yeah. Very big into shoes. Now I think I have 1 or 2 pair of shoes. And maybe 1 or 2 pair of boots, and that's about it. But back then, yeah, I was very big into shoes. So that's what I probably spent it on. Let's see here. Need to find some more questions. Okay, here's some that might be fun. Height, 5 feet. Yep, I'm a shorty. Always been. I think that's why I was so into high heels back in the day. The higher the better. Yep. Eye color brown, hair color brown. Any siblings? No, I am an only child, but I would have had an older brother had he survived. He was born premature, only weighed like a pound or something when he was born back in 1961, I believe. Of course, back then they didn't have the technology they have today, so they weren't able to save him. So he only lived a few hours from what I've been told. But yeah, I would have had a brother that would have been 2 years older than me had he survived. Do you drink? Not anymore. I have... both my parents were alcoholics. And I have an addictive personality. When I start drinking, I don't know when to stop. So, I don't drink. I stopped drinking when I had kids because I didn't want them to go through what I went through with my parents. So, I drink socially every once in a great while. I think my kids have seen me drunk twice, maybe. And they think it's hilarious. They talk about it, think it's funny, but I just kind of get embarrassed when I think about it, because I did not ever want to be like that in front of my kids. So I don't drink. And now I'm on so much medication, I'm afraid to drink on it, so I don't. No, I don't drink. Crush. Do I have a crush? Let's see. No. I don't think it means, because there's further down the list there's celebrity crush, so I'm guessing this means like a real life crush. And no, I don't have a real life crush. I guess you could say my husband is my real life crush. Relationship status. I just told that I'm married. Been married for 32 years. Obsession. Right now it's diamond painting. I go through periods where I get, I guess you could call it, obsessed with different things, you know, and I buy all the things that you need to make whatever it is, and I'll do it for a while, and then something else will come along, and I'll want to try that. But diamond painting is something I've been pretty consistent with. I mean, I started diamond painting, oh geez, I want to say 3 years ago. Yeah, about 3 years ago, I think. A ad came across my Facebook, and I was looking for a new hobby, a new craft to do. At the time, I was crocheting. Of course, I've been a crocheter all my life, off and on, in between other hobbies. And ad came across my Facebook, and I think it was for Wish. I think that was my introduction to Wish. And I ordered my first diamond painting. And this was for me personally. It was pre-YouTube. I didn't really know anything about YouTube. Didn't use it, so I didn't know anything about looking up videos on how to diamond paint or anything like that. So yeah, I got my first diamond painting, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know anything about diamond painting, so I just ordered, and they're in centimeters, so, and I'm not good with measurements, so I ordered, it's like, I think it's a 50 by 70 was my first diamond painting, and it came, and I was like, oh my god, what the heck, this thing is huge. And it was like a kind of like a sunset. It was done in purples and mauves and pinks, some greens, and it was like a kind of like a lake. There was a tree line that was reflected in the lake, and it was a pretty picture. And it was squares. I don't even know if they had rounds back then. I have no clue. But yeah, I started working on that, and the rest, they say, is history. I got my daughter kind of started on it too. She worked on that picture with me for a while. I'd work on it, and then she'd work on it, and then I'd go on to something else, and then I'd work on it a little more, and then I'd go on to something else, and just kind of back and forth. And then I got into adult coloring, and I was watching Lisa's Coloring Corner, and she does diamond paintings, and she started doing these unboxings, of these diamond paintings, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. I didn't realize they had, come out with so many pretty new ones, And so I thought, I'm going to have to look into this again. And 10 diamond paintings later, here I am, back into diamond painting. But I like it. I really like it. It's a good way to express yourself. And I could sit in my chair and I can diamond paint all day, and it doesn't really affect my arthritis too bad. Sometimes my hand gets a little sore. I have a couple different diamond painting pens that I use depending on how my hand feels at the time that I'm diamond painting. This pen that I'm using right now I got from Etsy, and I don't know why the tip on this is different. Let me see if I can get it in here. The tip on this is different than the other pens that I have, and it holds the wax for the longest time. I can't get my alarm to stop going off. It holds the wax for the longest time. I really like this pen, but it's so skinny that my hand gets tired after a while. I have to take a break after so long. And speaking of taking a break, it has been an hour. So I will let you guys go. And I hope you all have a great day. And if there's anyone out there living with depression, anxiety, PTSD, or any other mental illness, please remember that you are not alone. You are never alone. There's always someone who's willing to listen. Have a great day, guys.